All right. Welcome back. It's Thursday. You know what time it is on every other Thursday. Second and fourth Thursday, it is us two geezers rolling over the hill.
Yeah.
And we have an interesting topic, for two shithead geezers talking about a little bit of shit today.
The
So,
shit show.
I did the shit show. I'm Bobby Rohan. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic of 33 years. And take it away, Robert.
How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining us today. My name is Robert Soto. I'm a T12 SCI motorcycle accident back in 1974, and I'm happy to be here today. And the topic is about colostomies and later in life. When should you get them? And the benefits and all kinds of stuff like that that affects it. So,
Yeah,
do
and
you have
also
any?
I know we talk about aging with a disability, but also that choice, like, should I move to it right away? Because once we can talk about my story and then your story, my story is, once I finally got it, it was one of those things that I'm like, I should have done that like year one,
Yeah.
something. So let's talk about it. And for anybody who doesn't know or new to our show, um, I had a colostomy after 25 years, 26 years of being paralyzed with my spinal cord injury. It seemed like the first 20 years, suppository worked. Everything was great. Get up, do the bowel program, and I would do it twice a week, sometimes three times a week. But really, I was so lucky. I never had accidents. I never felt like I have to poop right now or anything like that. Maybe, and I used to sometimes, do this Thursday night to Friday or Monday morning. And a lot of that was because of the weekend, uh, because of quad rugby travel, hanging out with friends, just, and my body got used to it. Everything was great. And so, everything was working good that way. Then after a while, getting in a little bit older, about year 20, I was like, feel like I need to go to this three times a week. I got time, let's do it. So I started doing it three times a week. Seemed like that wasn't helping. What was going on is I just felt like bloated all the time. And, I didn't have accidents, couldn't get a lot of, gas out. So it just like I'd be bloated. And by the time I do bowel program, it was like I can hear the air empty out. And then an hour later, after I'm done getting to work, all of a sudden I'm like, what's going on, man? I feel like I have to poop already. And my stomach was back to bloating. So then I tried a couple other products. I tried the enemies. Let's see how this works. Some about the enemies, they made my blood pressure just drop. For some reason, I was done with my bowel program and my blood pressure was just like, phew. And so I'm like, that's not working. Then I tried what's it called, Robert? The the thing by Coloplast. I'm just drawing a blank on it now.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, I don't know what you're
yeah,
talking about.
I know. If you watch some of our Tuesday groups, Sean is using that now. So, and where you're pumping water, trying to do an enema the natural
Oh
way.
yeah, yeah. I don't know what it's called, but I know
Yeah,
Sean
I'm
was
drawing
talking
a
about it.
blank.
Yeah.
But that didn't work for me. It just seemed like I couldn't get it out. Go back to the suppositories, and just like after a while, I was just miserable all the time. It just felt like I had a poop, and then I was trying four times a week, and then almost like I got into 1 week where I just did it every day, and that and once I got to that, I was like, I got to change. I got to change what I'm doing. So about year 26, year 27 into my disability, I finally just went to a doctor. Luckily, my wife at the time or my wife still, but at the time she was working at Orange Coast Memorial, and she knew of a doctor that did this kind of operation. So I went to go see him. I said, I think I want to do a colostomy. And he's like, okay. I'm like, but have you ever had anybody just want to do this? And he goes, I've had a couple spinal cord injured come my way when he used to work up at USC, the county hospital. And I'm like, well, that's what I want to do because of these issues. And he goes, I think that's great. And a week later, I had my surgery. And so that was my experience. And now that I've done it, like I said earlier, I wish I would have done this like year one. I think it would have been a lot easier on my system, going the natural way, because you're kind of always going, it definitely helps out a lot better with your system. And, you're not holding all that gas. And yeah, some days there's, my colostomy bag fills up with air right away. And I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
but I can burp it. And I usually go outside and burp my bag or go away from public and burp the bag. It doesn't fill up throughout the day. So by the end of the day, usually I might change it or I can wait until the morning. So, I
Well,
get lucky that way and my colostomy has been going great. Now I know with you, Robert, you've had a little bit of a different experience with a colostomy. You want to
yeah.
talk about?
Yeah, I had a colostomy bag for about 7, 8 months back, like 2006 or something like that. I had to have a muscle flap surgery, and at Rancho Los Amigos, and they required you to have a colostomy, be just for uh, the cleanliness, so there's no accidents and infection and things like that. Plus, I think it was easier as well for the staff to take care of you. So, but I had the in my head. I mean, I've heard of them and stuff. I didn't really know too many people that had them at that time. Um, but I don't know. I just didn't want to do it at first, but it was a requirement. So I talked to Dr. Abahi at the time and told him can I do a temporary, to get through the healing process and then reverse it. So that's what happened. But for me, the bowel issue, because I'm at 49 years now post injury, and bowel thing has always been an issue with me since day one. Um, I I started my program every day just because I wanted to feel comfortable. So I made sure that I did it every day, and it was manually vac. So and that worked fine. It took about an hour. I planned an hour every day, every morning, and it was fine. It worked for a while. Then after I don't know how long, how many years and stuff. Then I started having the issues of the bleeding issues. So I kind of stopped doing manually vac, and because I know when I have to go and things like that, I can try somewhat to hold back, but it's not. Just when it's ready, it's ready. So it's just up to me knowing when the urgency of that feeling is the urgency. So then I started trying to do the suppository thing and the everyday thing, and then I went to every other day, and it was just I was trying everything. So I mean, it was okay for a while, but then time went on and it's not, all of a sudden it's no longer an hour anymore. And you always hear people saying, well, it should only take an hour, and if it takes more longer than an hour, then you need to, talk to your doctor and stuff like that. So, all of a sudden it's a couple hours. And then, so I did that for a while. Okay, I kind of accepted that, started doing uh, every other day, and it worked okay. And I had to do it early because my job, I worked a lot of years, and my job was early morning. I mean, I'd start at 4, so I'm up at midnight, and then doing a bowel program, and then it was just a hassle. It's just the time you got to set, or going out with your friends or something like that. You go in someplace and you have to meet early. I'm up a few hours way before we have to even meet.
Oh, yeah.
So where I'm at right now is, I'm doing every 2, 3 days is the way it's working right now, but it's not as consistent as I like to be. And then, like, so sometimes, like with me not working anymore and being retired, I can set a whole day aside for me to try to do something and do a complete cleanse of my bowel. So this way, if I have the program a couple times in the week, then I make it like a certain day on the weekend that I make sure I completely cleanse. So I know you and I've talked about it, and so now I'm at the point where it's like when do you get a colostomy? Because I know you said at the beginning, but at the beginning, I think you never know what you're going to get back, and
True.
and that was kind of something for me that there was just it wasn't an option for me because like I said, I really didn't know a whole lot about colostomy bags, but
Yeah, and also for you being incomplete, so you were
yeah.
you were able to stand a little bit
Yeah, yeah.
where I
Well,
think
and that
of.
was that was a problem though, man. Every time I stood up, I was having problems in therapy and all that. I go, it was just frustrating, and you go, what the hell? So, but you and I have talked. I know right when you got yours and stuff, and it's in my head now. At the beginning, before I didn't want it, didn't want anything to do with it, but now I'm leaning. I'm on the fence, and I think before I didn't want to keep it because this is my lifestyle. Now my lifestyle is not my lifestyle like it used to be. So it's
Yeah.
probably more time to consider it now. Um, and I think because it's just the quality of life for you. I'm not building myself around a bowel program, because that's what I do. I schedule everything around that. Okay, well, okay, I got to do this Thursday. Okay, I got to make sure my balls are clean. Wednesday, and it's just getting old now. I mean, all these years is just going. Come on, now it's just got
Oh,
to do it. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't know why I still have that little thing that's telling me, I'm holding back. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, are you still bleeding at all?
Oh, no, no, that stopped.
Yeah.
When that stopped is when I had the muscle flap because I had that colostomy bag for like 7, 8 months.
So they
So
have no, yeah,
yes, so it stopped, and then I didn't want to go back to anything. So then I started just getting on my regular program without anything, just me, just
right,
training the house for that. So yeah, it's been a long time though, but when I did have the bag, we'd go to Vegas and all that kind of stuff, and it was easy. I mean, I'm up early in the morning, we got the bag on. If I have to go burp it or whatever, I'd find a spot somewhere, go into the restroom and all that. If I had to change and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's everything that makes sense, but I'm not listening to it.
right. Yeah. That, and where I bring up, like, I wish I would have done it year out after year one or year two, where I was
Yeah,
getting the idea, like, okay, there's not a cure out there. I don't have any movement from my chest down, and it looks like I'm in this for the long haul.
yeah,
But here's the thing. I was hiring nurses, and I went back to school, and then I got a job right away. And like you were talking about, waking up at 5 a.m. and having a nurse come over and getting you know into the commode chair and then doing all the stim. For me, it was taking 2 hours, and which was fine and everything. At 5 o'clock, okay, I got the time, and the first 10 years, no energy was spent. But over time, energy was spent. Like I would be like, oh my God, now I'm tired. Kind of wish I had, the afternoon or the morning off, but no, I have to get back to work.
yeah,
I
yeah,
had to be at work at 8:30 every morning. So, and I kind of wish that, like, if I did a year or two, I probably would have had, didn't have to have my nursing as much. So that would have saved me a lot of money where I
yeah.
was paying out of pocket for my nursing.
Wow.
And so luckily, I could afford it at the time with the job. But also, some people, even though they get the hours for nursing, sometimes they don't get enough hours. So
Yeah,
they have to balance their bowel program in doing that. And I think for quads, it's not a bad idea, especially when you get into that C5, C4, and above. It might not be a bad idea thinking about it, and instead of waiting. Because, like you said, I wish all those years I used to go to Vegas, you know, trying to like eat light, where like we go
yeah,
to a nice
yeah,
dinner and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to eat this whole steak.
yeah.
But I know what it's going to do. It's going to make me full, and we're going home Sunday night. So probably not a good idea. I had to balance everything, and that probably
Yeah.
wasn't, the best idea.
Well, it really does get in the way. Like I said, the answer to all the things that I'm kind of complaining about is the colostomy bag because it improves the quality of life. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we have chronic bowel dysfunction. I mean, that's what it is. And so, like I said, I think I'm closer to that, but I'm still on the fence. I just leaning a little bit more about maybe it's time for me now.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. I just, but that's me. I got to think about things a little bit. And once I do it, I go, oh man, I should have done this sooner. But it's just been a long time. It's kind of getting old now, just saying, God,
Yeah.
and
We
so,
have I'd like to hear from the chat. I know we got some guys talking about THC is talking about gaming with
yeah,
Quad Life, and we have our gaming every Wednesday night with Tom. So definitely check him out at 5 o'clock on Wednesday nights. We got Quad Life in the house. We got Andrew. What's up, Andrew? I know Andrew said, I suffered from twisted bowel 2 years and I had to have a stoma bag and then 3 operations to remove the stoma bag. Wow. So are you on a colostomy bag now, or what's your system, Andrew? I'd love to hear from that. And then I think we had Carlos is in the house. Welcome, Carlos. Good buddy of mine that Robert and I used to work with.
Yep.
Roy, glad you can make it. Daryl, Dominic, what's up? Good friend of ours, and Fred Tom, man, what's going on? Like to hear from you if you have any of these thoughts about going to colostomy, or if you already have one. You know, what's what's your routine? I mean, for me now it's just great because the best thing that could have happened is getting this, and then a year and a half later, all of a sudden COVID hit, and
Yeah.
when COVID hit, the nurse that I had coming in, or my help, she was like, yeah, I'm super freaked out about all this, and so I'm gonna put my gloves up, I guess you can say, and not come over. And my wife, if she had to do that bowel program at the time, I know we probably wouldn't have been together, or trying to find somebody during COVID time. It would have been a
Yeah.
pain in the ass. I know some people out there like I would have done it because people need to work, and so I probably would have found somebody. But I had a great aide at the time, and it was so helpful. But when I went to finally the colostomy, it was great because all this time I saved in the morning. Finally, I told her, "Yeah, you don't need to be here at 5:30. You can come at 7:30." And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
clean up a little bit, and then boom, I was off to work. Now, I mean, 3 times a week, I'd still get in on my commode chair and get a shower, but that was pretty quick. I'm pretty quick,
Yeah.
unless during the winter months, if you're like me, I sit in that shower a little bit longer than usual with the hot water and just over my neck. So um, definitely showers in the wintertime are a lot longer for me. But really, it was much easier, after getting away from doing the BOW program.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I know, and now I don't know if you want to talk about this, but when you had your colostomy, did you feel like you had trouble with too much air coming out? Some people have the sound where there's a
Yeah.
lot of sound because of, it sounds like a big ass fart. And then
Yeah.
some people have trouble with some foods.
Yeah.
What were your
Well,
thoughts?
my thing is, I think my whole part of my issues with just bowel programming and all that stuff is just my diet. I don't really watch what I eat. I eat kind of what I want to, and I get it when I'm having issues a couple days or whatever. I'll watch what I eat for that part, right? But other time I don't. But well, I was more. I didn't have that issue. I mean, because if it be a little air, yeah, I do the burping thing. But what I was mostly conscious of, and it wasn't. It was just me being conscious. It didn't really necessarily mean it was happening was just any odor. I just was so conscious. Anytime I had anything in that bag, I'd find some place to get rid of the poop. And I,
Yeah,
I just because I didn't want to have that odor. And so I know there's things that I know I heard about that there are certain belts that you can wear with it and all that. But
right.
but that was one of my concerns. And like I said, it didn't because I was constantly when there was something in there, even just a little bit, I'd go empty it out.
Change it. Did you
Yeah.
have where it was open at the bottom, or did you just change the whole bag?
I changed the whole bag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
And
have.
yeah, it was that was part was easy. I mean, I was kind of kind of when I first got the colostomy, the stoma, and I was just kind of just checking all that. I mean, and I thought
Mhm.
it'd be, I thought it was just kind of new to me. It was weird and all that stuff. But once you get used to it, and when you're showering and everything clean and stuff, and that's when I put my the new uh, the new attachment or whatever the stick on
Yeah,
stuff. But it really was pretty easy. It just me, I was just conscious. I didn't want to have any
yeah. And
stink.
I mean, it takes about 4 months to really get into it,
Yeah.
or to get used to it, because you're like, one thing I know that I did not want is another thing attached to my body. I already have a super pubic, and some of it was like, what happened if I poop all over my stomach, or it opens up and it gets down into my super pubic, and I
Yeah.
know I don't want anything like, so I was really scared of that. And then it was like, then I don't want another thing attached to me, another thing to worry about. But really, it was pretty simple. I mean, at the beginning, to try to get on the right balance was kind of rough. Like I wouldn't poop for like 4 days. And then finally I would go, or it was too hard. And then I'd have to try some Marilex, and then
Yeah.
over time, it just like the system just finally started working. And, it just like, oh, okay, it's moving, it's burping, or it's, air's coming out. And when I have to burp it, I know, Hendrik, you were asking me how I burp with no hand function. So it's kind of funny. I use actually like a pin like this, and I open it up like if you can write. It's got a little like stylus to it, and then I mean I'll just be honest and I can show you, but let's see here. There's like a hook right here, and I'll take this and I'll
Pull it
just
away.
gently open it up to where some air can come out. And usually it's a lot better if it's not quite full, because
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
squeeze some of the air out, and then you're like, whoa, 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 I don't want anything else to squeeze out. So that's how I burp it, and then changing it if I want to change it, you know, um, I'll tell you one thing, for me, it gets a little messy at
Yeah.
times, and as long as it's like this right amount. Like if the texture of the poop is just right, it's like easy. But if it's too wet or soft, and then
Yeah.
but I just use a lot of baby wipes. I get those out, kind of protect my clothing. But luckily, most of the time I change it is when I'm laying down, and it's a lot easier. Or my wife comes in here and she's like, "Here, let me peel that off, clean around, and then pops a new one on, and it takes like 3 minutes."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know when I did have the colostomy bag, at the same time, I started doing intermittent cathing because my bladder wasn't emptying completely. I never had, UTIs or anything like that, but they said my bladder wasn't really emptying out like it should. So, and I opposed to that as well, but I started doing the intermittent cath in the morning, and then if I had to go during the day, I could go on my own, and then when I went to bed at night, and that was more important, so I can sleep through the night without getting up during the night. So I think there was a lot, but I kept the cath. The cathing was worked out good. Like I said, I'm looking back. Maybe I should have kept the colostomy, but like I said, I'm closing in on it. I think I'm getting more to that point where I'm just,
Hmm.
all these years, I'm just kind of tired of dealing with it, and not scheduling my whole day around it. So the thing is, um, when I mean, is a colostomy bag the last resort after you try everything else and you're not happy with all that, nothing's working, or I don't know, I think I've tried pretty much a lot of stuff. I haven't tried the enemies thing. I mean, because when I first started doing the bowel training, they were using glycerin suppositories. Those were what a hassle,
Yeah.
you know. And then so once I started joining in with you guys and stuff like a few years ago, I found out about the magic bullet and all that, and I tried that, and that doesn't really work for me as I thought it would. Because for me, my level of injury, and I have the sensation, all that. I want to be a little bit constipated, but not not crazy constipation. So that's what I'm saying. All the stuff that I'm putting in line and all that stuff. The solution is what? Colostomy bag.
Yeah. Just briefly touching about this again, because one of our questions
Yeah.
from, I think it's CHG, asking, did you have a reverse? Because they are reversible. So you can
Yeah.
get it done, the surgery, and it is reversible. So that is a nice. And then you had your colostomy, and then after how many months did you have it reverse?
I had it 7 to 8 months, then they reversed it.
Yeah.
And
And
because
how
I,
was
I
that?
heard I heard there's two types of colostomy. There is a permanent one and then
Yeah.
a different one. So because
Yeah.
mine, they told me, they gave me the colostomy bag, and they said, well, if you decide you don't want to reverse it, you just keep it. So I don't know which one that was, but you know, I mean, it
Hmm.
was because the Dr. Abayi was the one that was saying, you can change your mind, it's no problem.
Right. Yeah. And I think Roy asked, how often do I change? How often do I have to change my bag? So I change it once a day, and once in a while, if ate a lot or the system's running really good, yeah, I might have to change it twice. Or I'm like, I don't know, it's 4 o'clock and I'm about to go out, and we're going to like maybe to a concert, nice dinner, something like that, and I'm just kind of like, and because one concern is you're thinking here, you got your regular stomach and then you got this big bulge, and so sometimes I'm like, ugh, that's one thing I do hate. It's you have a little bit of a bulge there, and I get conscious about it, like, what are people thinking this is, and some people might know that's like my shit bag, and so when I go out and or I have plans, yeah, I'm gonna change my bag again.
Yeah, yeah. Start out clean, but yeah,
Yeah.
because I wore just my shirts are kind of oversized a little bit anyway, and that's just what I use. It was no one even knew it was there other than a couple of my buddies that we used to hang with and stuff. But um, there was a question here too from Quad Life. Can you still be constipated with a bag?
You can.
Yeah,
That's definitely so I kind of I do this balance where when I notice I'm not going a lot, and maybe what I see when I change the bag, it's kind of getting on the roughage side, and so I might the next day drink water with some Miralax,
yeah,
and that usually takes care of the problem. So I'll do a Miralax glass of water with Miralax probably once to twice a week,
yeah,
depending on how everything's going. And I mean, I think it was who was it? Somebody was having a problem, but they started drinking a lot more water.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Try to. I drink a lot of water. I'm always, it's always right here by my side on my chair. If you watch our shows a lot, you can always see me drinking the water. But that helps to a point. But then, you know, it's it. Depending on sometimes what you eat, and I eat a lot of vegetables. Robert, you and I were talking about vegetables.
yeah.
You know,
I,
I think I was going to make you throw up on all the vegetables I
I
eat.
know, because I mean, yeah, I have never had vegetables in my life, and I grew up in a family. My dad had a business that was a produce business, and we'd have fresh fruits and vegetables every day that were picked that day. And I just never got into it. I like fruit and stuff like that, but in terms of vegetables, I mean, I tried broccoli, and I you know, you could deep fry it in chocolate sauce, and I still won't eat broccoli. I
Mm,
just, I have to chop it up so fine if I'm gonna put it in a salad, and I tried the spinach thing. I don't know what it is. I eat like a kid still, you know.
yeah.
And but I think too, hydration too. That's something you need for everything. It just, overall,
Yeah.
you need to keep
And
yourself hydrated.
also, I mean, I get on this great kick of eating a lot of fruit too. And so that definitely helps flow and make everything going well. But then, then all of a sudden I'm not doing the fruit. And I think Quad Life just says I eat a lot of yogurt. Yeah, I get on a kick where I'm eating a lot of yogurt, and then I don't know, something happens and I back off that kick. But I try to
Yeah,
every morning I drink a fruit protein shake. So I
yeah,
get a lot of fruit. I buy frozen fruit, so it's in the blender on the one of those Magic Bullet blenders, not the suppository, but the Magic Bullet blender, and make up a protein shake. So that's always great. And then I know, I think it was THC is like concerned with the suprapubic, and having these concerns about what happened if the bag opened up, and it has done it, and it's done it twice where it started going towards my suprapubic area. One time I didn't even know I had it. I woke up, stomach must have been upset on something, and the bag didn't hold, and it had dripped down into that area. What I did is I called my infectious disease doctor, and she got me antibiotics, and we cleaned up really well, changed the catheter, and luckily nothing ever happened.
yeah,
So, I got lucky that way. But I'm always concerned about it and always try to keep clean, and, you know, and the kind of system that Robert and I both had is you put the patch on. So you have the patch that sticks to your skin, and then you have a bag you can change once a day
Yeah.
or twice a day or how many times.
Yeah. Whatever you
But
need. Yeah.
you can change that twice a week, 3 times a week, depending on how it's sticking to your skin. I'm about 2 to 3 times a week,
Yeah.
depending on how it's sticking to my skin. So I make sure that in the morning when I'm getting ready, how's that patch look? If it's looking a little loose,
Yeah.
let's change it. I don't want to have any problems.
Yeah. I didn't have any problems with mine. And then plus, it's just making sure it's on securely because it fits pretty tight. It's like the Tupperware seal on there. I mean, yeah, I didn't really have any issues with that. But yeah, I changed the patch. I think once a week. Sometimes I had to do twice a week, but it used to stick pretty good. The thing was having the time was when you're showering, trying to get the glue all off around the on your body. But I have a question though, Bobby. Maybe you can answer it about infection of the stoma. Is there any ever issues with that?
I don't have any problems with my stoma. I've been, knock on wood, that been lucky that everything looks healthy. I don't know why I have a hairy belly, that my belly has a lot of hair. So if I got to shave around there. And
Yeah,
so I shave, but I notice around that stoma, there's these long hairs for some reason. And so I have to get the clippers. I have this certain
yeah,
clippers I only use on that area alone. And I got to, and once in a while, you might hit it to where the stoma's bleeding. Or you might wash in it, like when I'm taking a shower,
yeah,
washcloth, and then towards the end, I finally peel off my bag and then just wash really quick,
yeah,
and I get soap and water, wash it off. And then that's where I might get a razor and shave real quick
yeah,
or do a quick trim in the shower. And then when I'm done with the shower, before I'm rolling back into the bed, I grab 4x4s and I kind of put it over. So it's kind of wet and it sticks there really good in case things start happening.
yeah,
So, so especially when I'm transferring back into the bed, I can, once in a great while, it's starting to get active. And I'm like, whoa, 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 okay. Wipe it up, grab another 4x4, stick it on, get in bed. And the first thing we do is get on a new patch and bag. So
yeah.
it's not,
I see here. I see in the comments, M. Hendrick. What is your
yeah.
biggest complaint? Because I mean, I didn't have
Well,
any complaints really.
I think both you and I probably have the same complaint because you were talking about it earlier. It's probably the smell.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, but you have the smell when you're doing your bowel program. If you're not
yeah,
doing it, even when you're doing it straight into the toilet, the courteous flush, um, you know, but really it's, finding that spot where I have to go burp, and I go outside when I'm at the house and my wife's always like, what are you doing? I'm burping.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
She's like, oh, okay. And sometimes, we're up watching a movie. I got to go burp it, but I'm going to go outside. But in the morning when I change it, luckily I found this good deodorant spray. They use it in the hospital, and that's where I got my first can. I took it from
yeah,
the hospital, and it's got like
yeah,
this orange smell, and it eliminates the odor right away, and
yeah.
with just a little squirt. So
Plus,
I know.
they have something you can put in the bag too at the same time, right?
So I tried all that. So when I first got my colostomy, I did the whole pouch thing.
Okay.
Thinking like, oh, I want this all contained in case my shirt rides up and I don't want anybody to see my
Yeah.
colostomy bag. So I did the whole belt thing, and I got something called the stealth belt.
Hmm.
It's custom order. It was really nice. I still have it. I just don't use it. And so I did the belt thing, and then I did all these deodorizer things. A tablet you would put into the bag, a spray or a liquid like Coloplast and the other one. What's the other one? Coloplast and oh, what's the other one? Robert, come
I
on, help
just
me.
I don't know because I just used Coloplast. That was the only one I used.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but they make all these deodorizers, and then you can find them on the internet. So,
Do they work?
no, I mean, sort of, but I guess I didn't really
Yeah. Yeah.
notice a big. That's why I stopped using it. It was just like
Well.
another thing somebody had to set up for me.
Mhm.
And I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
So
You
that
know,
stealth belt, how does that work? Is it just like a pouch, the belt, and the
yeah, it's kind
bag?
of like wearing a fanny pack.
Okay.
And so it had a zipper,
Hmm.
but you slip on your colostomy in the back. The bag
Hmm.
goes in there, and it kind of stabilized the patch a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you can zipper it open to let out any air if you have to out of your colostomy bag or change it. But it just sometimes, the just sitting down and the way our quad belly is, it'd
Yeah.
ride up, and
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
it just was more hassle than it needed to be.
Yeah. It's like I said, I'm asking the questions basically for myself as well, because like I said, I've been on the fence for a little while now, and I'm just, I just have to make the decision,
Yeah,
my, like I said, it's all about lifestyle, and that my lifestyle is not what it was before. So there's nothing really stopping me on it other than me just saying yay or nay.
yeah. And I had a good friend you've heard about as long as you are. And one day, I see him at Rancho, and I said, hey, what's going on? And and I would just had mine done, and I was just
Yeah.
like, he's like, what's new with you? And I was just like, well, I finally got a colostomy bag. And he goes, and this guy is a T12,
Hmm.
used to be a marathon racer. He's like, look, I did the same thing. These are the best. He's like, he was so happy with his colostomy, So it's something that, yeah, I kind of push you along a little bit, Robert, to do it just because of hearing about some of your hassles of your
Yeah.
timing when you're going
Yeah.
to do it. But I think, when you're there and you want to do it, you're going to be there. And you're going to be nervous about the surgery. The surgery is really easy. It's about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You wake up, you have your colostomy, and the first thing they do is just, give you a lot of liquids, and you
Yeah.
wait for the stomach to, wake up, for the bowels to wake up.
Right. Right.
And all of a
I
sudden you
remember
start
that.
hearing bowel sounds, and then they're like, "Yay!" So now you can go
Yeah.
to some liquid, and I had, chicken broth, and then moved to a little bit of Jello and things like that, and then until they saw bowel movement, then they're like, "Eat whatever you want." So they
Yeah.
wanted me to have one meal, one decent meal in the hospital. Ate that, tolerated it, and everything was good. Went home, and then got nervous, like nothing's moving now again, and I'm eating, but what's going. But over time, it just got easier and easier.
Yeah. And you're at what, 4 or 5 years now with the colostomy?
Yeah, yeah. I got it in December of 2018.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I
beginning of
remember. I know we talked about it back then.
yeah, yeah. Well, I know we're going to wrap up soon. Thanks for everybody in the chat, but I wanted to talk about our sponsors because without our sponsors, we couldn't continue to
Yep.
word out and do shows like this and talk about that good old thing called shit show. But our good friends from Urology's
Urology Professionals is a urological supply company, and they offer free shipping anywhere in the United States.
Came to grab the door. Hello.
They have an incredible staff that will go above and beyond to make sure you're taken care of. They'll handle all your insurance paperwork. They make sure it's one easy step so you don't have to be calling and on the phones all the time. They take care of everything. They also offer free samples and returns. They have an industry largest selection, and they are patient focused because they actually understand what we're going through and care and want to make sure we are taken care of.
Came to grab the door. Hello.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good.
Mobility Professionals is a medical supply company that services the Southern California area. They can help you out with custom wheelchairs, scooters, durable medical equipment, standers, any kind of commode or bathroom equipment, and they also do a lot of technical repair. They have an amazing staff that provides incredible customer service. They will take care of everything for you, for the insurance, doctors, therapists, and all that stuff that just makes your life so much more complicated. They're here to simplify and make things easy. Not only that, but they're also highly active in the local community. They're at a lot of disability events, volunteering and servicing the community that we all love.
Last thing we can say with having our sponsors and talking about our supplier supplying our, these products. So luckily I'm on Medicare and I have a secondary, but Medicare pays for my 20 patches for the month and 60 bags for the month.
Okay.
So it's been real easy to get everything. And a lot of times 1 month I'll get the 60 bags and notice like, oh, I got so many left over. Then I go to one box, which is 30 bags the next month, and I go back and forth. So I haven't had a problem with my vendor, paying for it. I know a lot of vendors are like, we don't make a lot of money on that. So they kind of hate doing it, but they do it. They have to do it by law. So luckily for me, my Medicare pays for that. So it's something you're thinking about. And, one thing I just wanted to say that myself, I'm on Instagram at Robert Rohan. I know, what is it? Who was it? Quad Life was wondering, but I think he was asking somebody else. But yes, I'm on Instagram if you want to hit me up with any of the personal questions. I know we had a show back, 9 months ago, and then during the summer, somebody reached out, and he finally got one, and I was hoping he was going to be a guest on our show today. But so I will answer your Instagram post. I don't post a lot, but I will answer your questions you might have. So let me know. And then THC had an interesting question about have I heard of any females having issues with a bag while pregnant? No, I don't know anybody who's been pregnant with a colostomy bag, but I can tell you that I know a few quads with pretty big belly quads like Santa, and they have a colostomy bag. So I have a good friend, and I'm always thinking like, wow, I hope it does okay. But I used to work with him, so I know he has pretty much no problem with it. Any last words or any last thoughts, Robert?
No, it's been informative. Like I said today, I was more of a listener today because, like I said, with me having to make a decision eventually, and I think my feelings and stuff are pretty much the same as someone else in my situation, and it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just trying to hang on to the last of what I've been doing, but it's been a constant hassle. So
And
I'll get there.
I'm a big component and big fan of it now that I've had it done, but I know it's not for everybody, and that's okay. If your system works for you, keep your system, and
Yeah.
don't change things sometimes. But if you're having nursing issues or problems with not feeling right, with your bowel systems, really take a look at it. It changed my life. I was so happy I did it. I kind of wish I did it maybe year one after, just
Yeah.
because it would have saved me on all those times I,
Yeah.
held
All
off
the
doing a bowel
time.
program one night because I did some traveling. It did make it would have made traveling for me so much easier. The first time after I got it done, I went to Colorado, and I was just like, "This is great," because
Yeah.
I was in
I can see.
Denver
I can
in
see
Mile
that.
High. Your system is like, it can get pretty bloated in that altitude there. So it was kind of nice that I didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I could see that. There's definitely it's an advantage. It's just like you said. It's not for everybody, and yeah, for me, I'm just kind of hanging on to what I have right now. But
Yeah, and I got my
I see it in my life though. I mean, maybe not right now, but I see it down the road. I'm not saying I'm not going to get it, but just not right now. I don't think right now.
And I got my good buddy at Abilities for people worried about trying to burp it or change it. He's trying to make me something to make it easier for me to change it and
Oh yeah,
snap it. So
yeah,
that's going to be great. Mark at Abilities. Check him out on Instagram if you haven't seen some
yeah,
of his products. And then, with the right amount of hydration, a good diet, you're not going to have any problems with it.
Yep. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thanks everyone who joined us today. And
Yes.
thanks for getting in the chat. Hit that like button. That's how we continue to grow. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. We're almost at 10,000, I believe. And we need a few more. So
moving and growing.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks everyone for listening to us for the hour or the 45 minutes. And like I said, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Take care. Have a great